Hello, friends. It's Chapo.
They would just.
Yeah.
You remember that famous clip? That famous clip of the guys who thought that Lee Zeldin could win, showing up outside a
Crime!
Yes.
Crime!
Yes.
They were cheering on crime.
Literally, it's these fucking these Mucinex monsters, these tri-state blobs, showing up outside a Kathy Hochul event and just screaming crime, 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 crime. Is that a guy?
You sound like
who's
a big fan of crime, dude. You sound like Cram. You sound like you just watched Crime win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was like they bypassed the part where it's like, oh, we're gonna have harsher sentences, or we're gonna tamp down spending to bring down brand inflation, whatever. It's just yay inflation, yay crime. It's just cheering
Gender
the bad
sickos.
thing. Yeah,
Hear you.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say, I never thought that the first grade litter box scaremongering would work, because it's just too weird. And as soon as you start telling people about it, you mark yourself as a complete freak and sicko. But I was shocked. I was pretty shocked that the crime scaremongering fizzled almost entirely outside
And you know
of New
what?
York.
Not for the first time. Trump tried this in his midterm in 2018 with the fucking migrant caravans, and it didn't work either.
I think like we need to go back to like the essential observation that Felix coined of normal whites. And it
whites,
is conclusively
folks.
now
And increasingly
the Democratic
normal
Party
Latinos
is
as
the
well.
party. Yeah, the Democratic Party is now the party of normal, hardworking, tax-paying families, and the Republicans are a minority party of freaks and sickos and weirdos who the average mother and father doesn't want to be around.
Their social base is screaming elderly people. It is elderly people who other families have their children avoid. That is the social basis, like the people who vote to build this structure. Not anyone with kids in their home, not anybody who has a job, somebody who watches TV all day and is on the internet.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's it.
Waiting to die.
The people who are most concerned about the children are people whose children are in their 40s or have never had children and never will.
Yes.
Yeah. Obviously, things change. We're on a seesaw until we have a Bonapartist figure.
Yeah,
but in its current form, right? In what we saw here, in what we saw this year, this does seem like the makings of a regional party.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless something changes.
Fucking Tallahassee.
Okay,
A breakaway archipelago of power centers connected to a central hub in fucking Tallahassee, where God Emperor DeSantis will rule eternally.
Yeah.
Florida is now the capital of Red America. And Matt, you were talking about sort of geographic sorting being the new voting. Well, Florida, we were just there. You can see what they're doing. Florida is the weirdo state.
Gee, I wonder what's been happening in Florida since 2018 when fucking DeSantis beat Andrew Gillum, who was on Molly the entire race. He beat him by like what, a point?
1 point.
He just beat Charlie Crisp by 20 fucking points. Because they've demoralized the libs, they've energized the current sickos, and all the retiring sickos from the rest of the country are just pouring down there. They're being sorted because they have the money to vote with their fucking vote with their feet, and they're doing it. Vote with their hover rounds, rather, and they're fucking doing it. And so, yeah, that's gonna be it. Like Trump, we're gonna look back in the histories, like when Princess Aurelian writes about this, like Trump will be Paul Atreides, and the DeSantis is Leto too, who becomes the eternal God Emperor,
the worm. He becomes the Florida worm.
Obviously, yeah. Things have a habit of changing. God, how many fucking articles do you remember like that in 2008? The death of the Republican Party? Everything changes. Everything shifts. The seesaw from hell. But again, on this current course, it would be gearing to be like, yeah, just headquartered in Florida. Yes, you won Miami-Dade. It was clear you won Miami-Dade within 10 minutes. But this was such a repeat of 2016. it was a mirror image of 2016 where, like, you remember how Hillary did a massive turnout operation in California because she was afraid she would win the Electoral College and lose the popular vote?
Yeah.
I felt like an inverse happened in Florida where they concentrated their popular vote in Florida in places they were already going to win. In a gubernatorial race, they were already going to win. In midterm elections, they were already going to win. Yeah, it's a great performance by DeSantis, and shockingly, Beto lost. Shockingly, Abrams lost.
And Stacey Abrams. Yeah. By the way, she's probably the single person responsible for them having to do a fucking runoff in Georgia.
Yeah, right.
She ran so far behind Warlock that she absolutely cost him votes.
Absolutely. But DeSantis's performance in the R space, that was the only performance like that.
Yeah, only place. They won all through Florida.
And if you look at the right-wing media, they're now focusing all their attention on how well DeSantis and how well they did in Florida. And Florida is the new like Death Star of, where they see as the future for themselves in this country. But the attitude to explain what happened everywhere else in the country is this idea that like only DeSantis really like believes in the culture war and was willing to fight it. It's like, I'm sorry, like did every other Republican candidate just not run on litter boxes and fucking trans kids and culture war shit?
Yeah, but they didn't run hard enough, and
they didn't run hard enough. They didn't believe in it enough. Yeah,
it's the perfect kind of like witch doctor bullshit that they all pull. It's like, oh, you need to do this to win. And then everyone does it. Most of them lose. One guy wins. And then you say, oh, no, they needed to do it like he did. And, of course, what the fuck does that mean? There's no metric here, but it gets you out of the hole. You get to now say, no, nothing has failed to work. But, no, you're only going to work where there's more and more of these old psychos. That's it. And it's like that is demographically a doomed party. It's only holding on because of its control of structures that just over time are going to wither, which is why now all the people on the far edge of the dark magasphere are like, okay, democracy, all right, we're done with it. Fuck this shit.
Well, they're right
time,
to be.
Time for the coup that we're definitely
the writing is on the wall, and I mean, I guess I've talked about this on the show like a little bit, but like you look at these results, and it's really stark that like in any normal democracy in which like districts are like rationally apportioned, the Republicans would have. The fact that they have the tiniest majority that they do is given to them entirely because of these like gerrymandering schemes. Like if it wasn't for Andrew Cuomo's decision to give New York to the Republican Party so that he didn't have to govern, and then the Supreme Court's 5-4 ruling to allow gerrymandering in the South again is the only reasons the Republicans have any shot ever of holding Congress.
Yeah, Wisconsin.
And like
is,
what we're
of course,
seeing now is like if you were under 40, the Republican Party is despised, and I don't think that is going to change. And like I think they're I saw Marco Rubio on Fox today, and he literally said, he says it's a miracle any Republicans win because the country is against us.
But I think we also have to understand something. I mean, literally everything in our society and culture is aligned against Republicans. It's a miracle Republicans win anywhere. Virtually every major television and media outlet in America is against us. All the celebrities, all the movie actors. I mean, you name it.
I mean, he was saying it's like the country's against us. He was saying they're only against us because media and celebrities are all Democrats. But it's like he's just describing living in a democratic society. Well, most of the people who live in the country don't agree with you.
That reminds me that reminds me of like, the sort of failure Bernie 2020 staffers who were like, oh, well, we only lost because the Democratic Party did this unprecedented thing. That's the thing you knew they were going to do. That's the type of thing you knew they were going to do.
What are you complaining about? That's the game.
Yeah, is it new that Hollywood hates you?
Well, this is what's interesting to me about this. So there's a bunch of people who might have been like on the Bernie side, and others who were sort of like drawn to Trumpism because of like its populist tone, and they developed this critique of the Democrats and of the left that said, you are disconnected from real people's concerns because you're a bunch of neurotic bourgeois libs. You're dominated by a fear of falling, and it makes your politics insane and unrelatable to the regular people. And then some of them decided, well, the cure for that is going to be the Republican Party, which is still connected to some like broadly felt civic concepts. But it turns out once you really press it, we're not there yet with most people, which means that if you stick there and say, well, fine, the people are all brainwashed, congratulations, you're exactly right back where you started. A smug, elitist, liberal who knows better than the hoi polloi. That is what you are now. And you're fantasizing that you're going to have some fucking military coup now to punish the people who are choosing to believe in you. That is what liberals think about the fucking body politic. Congratulations.
And talk about everything is mirrored. Everyone is the same person.
Yep.
Seesaw from hell. Matt, you pointed out that now conservatives are doing their own version of a 2004 era dumb fuckistan.
Yes, they're doing the fucking
Yes.
And also, I saw some dipshit saying that Republicans need to like move out of rural areas and into like suburban
Cities.
swing districts.
Yeah.
It's the exact reverse of all the dumbasses who are like, look, if 300,000 leftist liberals in Brooklyn moved to Wyoming, we'd have 2 senators.
Yeah. And then, did you see Myra Flores, my favorite race of the night? The lady that, 6 months ago, watch out. This is Latina too. We made a new Latina, and this time she's Republican. It's the rise of the new Latina. Yeah, Latina with all the bells and whistles. And guess what? She's based. Watch out, everyone. She lost. She lost fucking badly. She lost by like 9 points last time I saw Myra Flores. And her post, her post after literally last month posting, watch out for a red wave, was there was no red wave because young people stayed home. Perfect repeat.
I'm sorry, young people did not stay home this election.
No, they didn't.
Came out and voted against Republicans because everything the Republicans believe in is repellent to, like I said, anyone under the age of 40 in this country. And like to the Marco Rubio thing, I think like they really have gotten high on their own supply, and like all of the anti-democratic minoritarian measures in our Constitution that they've pushed to the breaking point to allow them to, like, I don't know, win the White House without the popular vote, to have, to like in a state like Wisconsin where 51% of the votes are for Democratic candidates, they only control 30% of the state legislature.
It's wild.
And so, but I think like they've come to expect that so much. I really think that their view of democracy is that a fair democracy, like they deserve to be apportioned roughly more, like 1% more of the half of
which
the
is
power.
why they've all gone in at like a article of faith level at the base with election denying and believing that no elections are legitimate anymore.
Did you see Roger Stone on Alex Jones?
Right. Yeah. This is very funny.
I actually think, unfortunately, the results last night add to a growing frustration. What disappoints me is the number of people who tell me that after the last election, they just tuned out anything political and stopped paying attention.